Now, for a closer look at the outcome of the meeting between President Lee Jae-myung and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, we're joined today by Dr. Mikyoung, senior researcher at Gyeongsang National University, Korea Social Sciences Research Institute. Dr. Kim, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what do you make of yesterday's summit between Lee and Takaichi? What stood out to you the most?
They were very personable with each other. They acted friendly, and they already have broken the ice at personal level. But they also tried, I think, hard to harvest the tangible results from the shuttle diplomacy. And the list of the topics they talked about and agreed upon was actually quite impressive. And both of them emphasized the importance of economic security, with particular emphasis on energy security, the supply and reservation of LNG, crude oil, and petroleum products. And they talked about AI cooperation, with particular emphasis on space exploration and transnational scam prevention cooperation, and people-to-people exchange. They talked about tourism and cultural exchanges in particular. So, overall, it was a good balance between good personal chemistry from having had 4 meetings ever since both leaders became the top decision makers of Korea and Japan. And at the same time, they are really work-oriented. So very good balance and chemistry and goal-driven attitudes on both parties. So I think it was a very good and successful and future-oriented meeting.
And this is the 3rd time President Lee is holding a summit with Prime Minister Takaichi, right? And it's the 6th time that President Lee is holding talks with a Japanese leader since he took office just a year ago. What does this tell us about the administration's policy towards Japan?
The Lee administration, I think, is very sincere and committed to improve the bilateral relations. I mean, when we think about the past records of both leaders of Korea and Japan, where they did not stop themselves from making potentially offensive and provocative remarks about each other, in particular, I mean, over history-related issues. And Prime Minister Takaichi is still regarded as very hawkish. She has strong support coming from conservative factions of the society. And President Lee also made some remarks about Japan's attitude towards difficult and challenging historical issues. But both of them are trying really hard to stay away from provoking each other over history issues that are still unsettled. And I think they are doing their best to show their sincerity and commitment to improve bilateral relations. Why? Because they need to. We need to work with each other, because the world is on the move, and unexpected but very serious challenges are taking place in this region. So they need each other. They need to work with each other instead of creating conflicts and tensions over issues that are difficult to resolve.
Right. I'm glad you just mentioned that, because a lot of attention was on how these two leaders will address historical disputes. So how do you think they will use this opportunity, this summit, to resolve these historical issues that we have between these two countries?
One of the topics they talked about yesterday included Chose Mine project. That is an excavation project of the remainings of Korean forest laborers during the colonial era. And that project has humanitarian implications. So both countries are willing to show the fact that they can work with each other for the sake of improvement of humanitarian concerns. But other issues, for instance, like Dr. Takeshima dispute, Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi mentioned about Japan's ownership of Dokdo, while President Lee Jae-myung has been consistently clear that there is no territorial dispute. So for domestic audience, both leaders are doing what they are supposed to do. As the leaders, they need to think about constituencies and how to play the tunes with public opinion and all that. But both leaders, I think, know that they shouldn't go there when it comes down to bilateral relations. So yesterday, they were focused on talking about Jose excavation project.
Right. And Dr. Kim, before I let you go, what do you think is next for bilateral relations?
Shuttle diplomacy will and should continue. As both leaders have been repeatedly emphasizing the importance of it, because Korea-Japan relations need good chemistry between the two leaders. And the next step would be to institutionalize this shuttle diplomacy by making some sort of governmental level mechanism in order to coordinate smoother cooperation and responsive methods where both leaders can just pick up the phone and talk about the issues as they emerge, so that they can work efficiently and effectively when it comes down to addressing the issues that can influence in positive or negative ways between the two countries. So continuity and the efforts to institutionalize this shuttle diplomacy. And I think both leaders are very, very committed to continue this form of personalized, but at the same time, very purpose-driven way of engagement with each other. So that's what I foresee, but at the same time, I think most of the people in the government would agree with such caution and continued devotion and commitment.
I see. All right, Dr. Kim, thank you so much for your time and insight today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.